raining right now in downtown Sacramento. So this week we got a nice transformation. I haven't seen my dude Malik. He's actually married to my cousin, so I've known him for a minute. He actually comes in like once every year. I think the last time I cut him was a year ago, right before his wedding. It has lots of curls. I wasn't expecting as many curls as he has. The thing with curls is like whenever you're cutting with looser curls like he's got, you can't take too much off. So throughout the cut, you know, at first you're gonna see me go ahead and attack it, kind of get like a sculpt of it. I'm not gonna shave down the top until like the very end, and even then I'm not gonna take off too much curls. I'm gonna take it off little by little. But the end result was a hell of a lot better than what it was before. This is like right before Christmas time. I know you guys are gonna love this tutorial. Go ahead, check this shit out. Alright, y'all, so we're just gonna go ahead and jump right into this. First things first, gonna pick it out, comb out everything, get the curls all nice and loose, make sure nothing's like too condensed or compact towards the head. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and start creating my first guideline. Now, when I'm creating my guideline, maybe I should have taken this down a little bit. Like you see me right here. I thought I could kind of go in and attack this with just, you know, eyeballing it, but I couldn't really get a good idea of where his occipital bone was at, kind of his head structure. I've cut him up before, but just to have a better idea when I'm putting that guideline in there. Whenever you're setting guidelines, you want to be able to at least know where certain places of the head are at and how his head is structured, any lump and any other type of unique areas that his head structure or skull structure might have to him. Now, like most of you know, I did just drop my online barbering course that goes over advanced fading techniques. This is another video that I did put in my course, so it's a full-length video. We got the whole thing on there. I'm not gonna be able to go fully in depth like I can on like a 15-minute video in just like this 15 minutes, but you know, I go over a lot of great techniques that I use to attack curls. One great technique I'll give y'all right now really quickly that I do go over is what you're gonna see later on is going with the grain with the curls around that parietal ridge. A lot of people, when they're trying to fade like these loose curls, as you see me setting in my first guideline with that no guard open, I'm just gonna kind of trigger play that out from close halfway to open and get that out. But you know, when I first started cutting, I had a hard time with this type of hair texture, only because of the fact that you want to make it shorter, you want to make that fade super tight, and he has such great hair that lays down really well, and especially it contours, the fade contours the head very well. But you want to get that fade as short and crisp as possible. You want to keep those curls as curly as possible. If you go too short on curls, you are going to run into the risk of everything kind of not actually curling up anymore. You can kind of see like around below that parietal ridge, more on the side of the head. You can see how everything's kind of more laying down, and that's really where I want to keep the fade at. I want to keep the fade in that area and be able to create a better shape overall once I go up. And actually, I do want to fade down once I get close to that parietal ridge. So after I kind of get my next couple guidelines out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead and take my clipper over comb. Now, I'm not going in all the way to the flat part of his head on this one. I remember first time cutting curls like this, loose curls, this shit was probably murder. I think I'm erased out of my memory bank of who it even was, but really I try to take it as long guard as possible and really just trying to create, you know, take off a little bit of curls and seeing where the curls lay down and then attacking if I need to go in a little bit more after that. You don't want to just go ahead and attacking and hacking away at curls. It's really just kind of like a feel how they want to go ahead and curl back up, or if they want to start laying down if you start going with the grain, and just kind of read that on the head. Even better than that, even sometimes with a haircut like this, when you're doing like maybe a mid fade on somebody, I would highly recommend start a little bit lower than what you would on a regular mid fade, just for the fact that you might have to like push it up a little bit, just for the fact that you might take those curls up a little bit higher than what you originally anticipated in doing. And that just kind of gives you a little bit more room to work with, and especially if you're just starting out, that's really key. Right here, after I get done with the fade, I'm gonna go ahead and apply a little bit of hairspray around that temple area, around where that little C cup for the lineup is gonna be at. I just like to go ahead and apply that real quick, just because it keeps the hairs in place, kind of frozen. You can apply a spritz. I just happen to have, I don't really have any spritz on me at the moment. I just am able to use hairspray, kind of dry it off with a blow dryer, just make sure everything kind of freezes in place, and it'll make that lamp nice and crispy. And then I go ahead attacking the rest of that bulk with my Babyliss trimmers. Still Babyliss, I'm still waiting on y'all to give me that switch out of the trimmer head, because my trimmer teeth are all fucked up right now, bro. I think this is the first time I actually, whoa, hold up, this is the first video I think I'm breaking out these bad boys. Don't quote me on this. I might have broken these out last week and not even noticed, but those Babyliss shavers, if y'all can invest in those, I would highly do that. Better than any Andis shaver. I think even Bazio said, I heard from Jay Fede, Bazio even did a review on these, saying that he likes these compared to the bronze, even just a little bit better. So I mean, listen, y'all, I think, I mean, they look sexy as fuck. They have a good weight to them, and they have great power behind them. Highly recommend Babyliss. Y'all doing something right now. I've yet to cop one of your trimmers, or not yet to cop one of your new clippers, but the trimmers and your shavers are A1 so far. But you know, your blade replacement ain't A1. Then I'm gonna go ahead, you know, I love my Andis Fade Masters, always with the cleanup. And then, like I said before, I don't try to go in all the way. I'm you know, the first go through is just like kind of like a nice little rough draft, and then I'm gonna go work my way down from the fade again. I think I started with the 4 guard open and literally just worked my way all the way back down from a 4 open to close, 3 open to close, 2 open to close, 1.5 open to close, 1 guard open to close, 0 guard open to close, and then maybe even picking action with no guard open. When you're going through this haircut, or any fade in general, you always want to go back over your work. I'm always an advocate for, like, listen, the more you spend on a haircut, the more time you spend on a haircut, the more time you spend on a haircut, the more detail you can put into that, the better the result's going to be, for 1. 2, you're going to learn a hell of a lot more about, like, what your skills and capability are going to be. And 3, you're probably going to be able to speed up your time just a little bit more, even though I always tell people, look, take an hour on a fade. But we always want to be giving our best service out to our customers at all times. And then, of course, same thing on the other side. I always like to do one side of the head, move on to the next side of the head after that. Going in with my, I think that's my 1.5 guard, sitting in my next transition line right there. And for those of you that don't know my fading technique, it's just simply close halfway open and really getting out any darker spots. What's great about my new online course is I go over all, like, in depth about what clippers I like to use, what clippers I prefer not to use, why I use the clippers, a little bit more in depth, not just because, like, oh, I fuck with them because they look cool, but exactly what my mentality is when using them. I think you have to be in tune with your tools. True Couture always talks about mentality and mindset when it comes to not only attacking barbering, but also how you attack your tools. You always have to have specific tools do specific things, and I really believe that, you know, you can get the job done with a couple clippers, but really it takes more than that, and really takes specialized. You know, you take one clipper and it has one objective for the whole haircut. Like, this is like these clippers right here are strictly for fading. I have strictly clippers for cleanup work, and strictly clippers for bulk, clippers strictly just for lining up. Everything has a purpose in my lineup. I go over exactly what I do, as well as, like, the products that I use, of course, which is, like, you know, I'm always, hey, if you're not using some of the best products out there, why are you putting it on your client? I think you should always be putting the best products as possible, especially for curls right here. I'm gonna actually put on some I think it's some Bronner Brothers, honestly, a little mango curl enhancer at the very end. Now with a haircut like this, you're gonna see me, like, wait for until the very end to kind of shape up all the curls. I kind of said that a little bit before in the video, in the intro, but really it's just because I want to make sure the whole haircut is done first, and I fit the curls on top of the head, and I just feel better when I can kind of create the shape at the very end of it rather than before. Because I know at the very end, regardless, I'm gonna have to go back over and reshape everything, because, you know, I've been placing my hand on his head, compressing some curls down. So you see later on, you know, I'll re-pick out all his hair, kind of give it a little bit more bounce to it, and then reshape it back up again. Now with these shavers, when I do take down my bald line, I always try to go up as close as I can to that very first bald guideline I did make, just because you don't want to have, like, any part of that area from, like, bald to no guard, open to close, and even zero guard transition stretched out too much. You want to make that transition as tight as possible and as crisp as possible, because that's really what's going to make your fade pop. If you can get that area as tight and as crisp as possible, the rest of the fade is just working with different shades and kind of picking out action. Really, you have to focus on, all right, like, you know, like what tools are going to be able to get me the closest and best results to be able to make that part as crisp as possible. So, you know, some people really like to zero gap their tools. I like to use personally Andis Fade Master. Has always been big on saying I think that will never leave my lineup, no matter what other fading clippers I go to. I actually used to fade the whole haircut with Andis Fade Masters until those goddamn things made my arm almost fall off. My shoulder would be killing me after a long ass day, so I had to switch over to cordless. And you know what, Wall didn't do too bad of a job with these ones, quite honestly. Like they give me the power that I want and that feel to them. And they just give me, I mean, the wireless capability, you can't beat that. So until Andis comes out with maybe like a wireless clipper, I'm sticking with these Walls. But the Andis Fade Masters are here to stay as always. Now you're gonna go ahead and see me go ahead and just freehand everything. I want to take this as slow as possible, not really rushing it too much. And when I'm doing this, I really want to take a step back and look at the whole head. I don't want to have him have like a mushroom top on the top of his head. I really want the top of these curls to really be sitting well, not only for the fade, but also you know, just for the overall aesthetic of his haircut. When we're looking at an overall haircut, we're really looking at a silhouette it creates. So like I'll look at a couple things. The one, I'll look at the fade, at how it sits on the side of the head. Two, how the shape is when you look directly in front of him, like you're trying to look him in the eyes. There's one side flare out more than the other. And then three, overall silhouette. So if everything was just pitch black, you know, like you have ever gone to like Disneyland, right? And they did like those black silhouettes of people of like, you know, I remember having one when I was hella younger, but I don't know if that's a point in the story. But basically, it's just the overall silhouette of how the haircut fits to that person's head structure. So now I'm also looking at like his occipital bone, the ridges on his forehead, his nose, chin, jaw structure, everything on how that fits all together. If you put all those aspects together, you're gonna get a way better product than if you're just looking at the fade and only the fade from the side of the head. There's a lot more intricate parts and a lot more detailed parts that you want to get into, as you can kind of see me take a nice little Instagram video for y'all right there. You can see that on my Instagram. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, by the way, at deluxe _ same thing as my YouTube name, dropping daily content. You go ahead and follow me on there. I got some fuckery on there to go ahead and just fuck around and goof around on. But then I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the lineup. Now, as you saw with the lineup, I did take that area down before, kind of with a clipper over comb action. That's just to really make sure that, like, you know, sometimes the curls like to curl up too much on that front hairline. You line it up once, you comb it out, and all of a sudden you got all these curls falling out that you didn't like notice before. If you take it down just a little bit more than usual, make it a little bit shorter, it's gonna be easier for you to line up. You're still gonna have to go over it, comb out that hairline a couple of times, but it's gonna make your life a hell of a lot easier. Trust me on that. And that really goes for any hairline too. That I think you should go ahead and do that. Now I'm just gonna go ahead, last little like pass throughs with my cordless, just kind of getting a good silhouette, kind of getting a good structure, make sure everything's all nice and tight on my dude. And then, as most of you know, I always like to go a little shear over comb afterwards. Shears just add like this softer effect to a haircut, honestly. And I always, whenever I have a longer hair transition up at top, I think it just finishes off the haircut very well. And then like anything trimming up as well and shaping up, I just feel like I have more precision when using them. Sometimes the trimmers or my clippers can go ahead and push the hair around too much. My scissors won't. Now I'm gonna go ahead and apply my enhancement. I've like it. You know, if you see my videos before, I can't get enough of this semi-permanent dye, and I just purchased Bosio's Tomb 45 dye. Let me tell y'all, it's a little runny, so if you don't have a good cap on your thing like I do, I don't have a good cap, so it's spilling all over. But what I will say about the dye though is that once it's sprayed onto your client, the shit stays. It's one of the best dyes I've used, quite very honestly. It holds on to the skin and darkens up the skin very, very well. Not too dark to where it makes it look too unnatural, but you know, of course, just make sure you have a cap on when you're spraying, and you'll have no problem with this dye, and you'll fall in love with it like I have.
already got the hose calling. You see that?
Afterwards, I'm just gonna go back over the haircut with the shears that you saw. This is a little mango butter and curl enhancements. Like I said, I kept the curls a little bit longer than I probably would. You know, like you always want to add like just a little bit of something, because you know your client's not gonna have just dry curls. He's gonna go home, shower. Usually when clients shower, their curls do tighten up a little bit once they dry out. So I just left a little bit length, so when he does go in the shower, and of course apply a little curl sponge to the top to get them all nice and tight and in place. That's the end of the tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Appreciate everybody who always tunes in every single week to my Deluxe Sundays. I know it's a little bit day late, but you know the rain was kind of fucking me up. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Deluxe. Also, go ahead and check out my new online next level barbering course. Click the link down below to enroll. Enrollment fee is going up very, very soon, so I'll take advantage of the low price that's at right now. Other than that, y'all, I'm gonna see y'all next week on Deluxe Sundays. All right, y'all, we out.